Hey everybody, it's Jack here, Talk Norwich City. I hope you guys are all doing very well indeed. Back today to take a look back at the weekend. Norwich City beating Derby County to all but secure promotion back to the Premier League. Yes, it looks very likely that we'll be promoted by the time we play our next fixture, which is on Saturday at 8 o'clock against Bournemouth. Both Brentford and Swansea play before us, which means that if they drop a single point going into that game, then we will already be up 90 points on the table for Norwich City now, which is a quite remarkable statistic. It's April the 12th, and here in the UK, the pubs have reopened, so I've got a couple of pints down me. The hairdressers, the barbers have reopened, so I've got myself a little trim. And Norwich City are flying high at the top of the table. I'm having to pinch myself at quite how good things are at the moment. It's remarkable. A big thank you to 5 Yards for sponsoring this video. They are a brilliant website. We've already done some work with them this season. They're an online scouting platform. It's well worth checking them out. There'll be a link in the description to head over at there and see what they're all about. I would thoroughly recommend you to. They love Norwich City. We love 5 Yards. And we're going to be using some statistical data that we've pulled from 5 Yards a bit later on in this video. But let's talk about the win over Derby first. It was very pleasant. It was remarkably pleasant because this had the potential to be somewhat of a banana skin for Norwich City. Norwich have often struggled going to Derby. I can't remember too many wins there in the past. The moments that stick out is certainly that Stephen Whittaker last-minute goal that hit the post and then kind of went into the side netting. That felt particularly joyful that day. But we've always struggled at Derby, and I know they've had a little bit of a topsy-turvy season, but I think they've drastically improved in the last couple of months under Wayne Rooney's kind of leadership. And I thought they looked okay at the weekend. I think our levels probably dropped slightly, but I thought they looked good and they had a couple of good chances. Tim Krul was probably made to work more than he has done in a couple of games this season. So Derby's performance levels were there, but Norwich City still got through it. And that felt really good. It felt like we progressed somewhat, because often in the past, maybe when Norwich City haven't quite been at the races, we've dropped points. And that's even been the case this season. But Derby, not particularly firing on all cylinders, yet still got the job done. And to be honest, got the job done fairly comfortably. It was a stunning free kick from Kieran Dowell to get the game won. And Kieran Dowell's really come into his own over the last couple of weeks. He's starting regularly and making an impact on the game. There was a lot of excitement surrounding Kieran Dowell when we signed him. But it never quite felt like his career had got going. There was a lot of talk about him, and he'd done well here and there, but he was on loan at Derby not so long back, and he was booed off a couple of times because his performances were so bad. He had a tough time there. He's had a tough time at a couple of other places. And yet now it feels like at Norwich City, it's starting to, go in the right direction for him, which is brilliant. Using 5 Yards, we've actually pulled some data, and you can see it on the screen now, and it's really promising for Kieran Dowell. You can see the line down the middle. And that's the median for attacking midfielders. So anything beyond that line essentially means that Kieran Dowell is outperforming the average for that position in the division. You can see passes per 90, progressive passes per 90, through passes per 90, passes to the final third, passes to the penalty area, shot assists, XG, goals, shots, all of the really key metrics Kieran Dowell is performing incredibly well in. And I know he hasn't played, a terrible amount, a big amount of football this season, but 734 minutes of football played is a relatively considerable amount, and yet he's still performing really well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Kieran Dowell can do. Thanks to 5 Yards for pulling that data together for us. And I was just really impressed. The free kick was phenomenal. I mean, it was hit with such venom. And I think that's what made it so brilliant to watch, is we've become so used to watching Mario Vrancic, what we called a cultured curler, where there doesn't feel like there's too much power behind it, but because it's so, it's almost caressed into the top corner, it feels quite, laissez-faire, doesn't it? Like it's just, I'm going to put it there. The goalkeeper knows where it's going, but he's still not going to stop it. Kieran Dowell just got his boot wrapped around it and put everything behind, and it hit the back of the net. And it was that moment of quality that was the difference in that game. And I don't think there's too many teams in the league where there's such match winners across the pitch. Emi Buendia. I mean, here's another table for you. These are midfielders and attackers who have played a minimum of 15 games this season. And as you can see there on the right-hand side, Emi Buendia is genuinely off the chart in terms of key passes per 90. This was 5 yards pulled together for us. Buendia is off the chart in terms of key passes per 90. Oliver Skipp is right in up there as well. Only like Harvey Elliott and Elise, who are both exceptional players, are above him. Cantwell you can see on there as well. Javi Quintilla has done really well for a defensive player. But, you know, Buendia, Skipp and Cantwell all very much within the top 5 players in the division for a really important metric. Just shows the calibre of quality that we've been able to kind of possess this season. And that's the reason why we're going up. And that's the reason why Norwich City will be talked about as one of the all-time great championship sides. There's no doubt in my mind that this championship side are one of, if not the best team to ever grace the championship. And I know we're not going to beat the points record set by Reading, which is a particular frustration of mine. I would have loved to have done that, and I think we could have done that, barring a couple of silly errors in recent games. But you have to look back at this side, and I think we will start to realise just how good this team have been when, 5-10 years down the line, and we look back and go, my God, we had Timu Pukki, Emi Buendia, Todd Cantwell, Oliver Skipp, Max Aarons, Tim Krul in the same championship team. It's absolutely ridiculous. And they're so versatile as well, whether it's a 7-0 against Huddersfield or a scrappy 1-0 against Derby, they find the way. And I think that's a sign of maturity. I don't think we would have done that 2 seasons ago. Well, we didn't do that 2 seasons ago. We couldn't close games out. We couldn't keep clean sheets on a regular basis. And we're keeping clean sheets for fun at the moment. A mention as well for Omadama Belli, who I think has been exceptional. I know I mentioned it in the last video, but he's 18 years old and he looks so assured in the back line. I don't think he's been tested too much so far. I think Colin Kazim-Richards gave him a bit of a rough ride, but he hasn't been tested over amounts, but he's stood up to the opposition. You can only kind of beat what's in front of you, and he's done exactly that. I think he'll have tougher tasks against Bournemouth and Watford, who are 2 fairly decent attacking sides, but he's been absolutely brilliant, and it's just such a joy to watch. I've been living with a smile on my face constantly at the moment, because it's just such a brilliant team, guided by a brilliant manager and a board who are just doing everything right. There's literally nothing to moan about at the moment. So that's brilliant. Norwich will be promoted this week back to the Premier League. Let's just, see these next 4 or 5 games out and just get the job done to a really decent standard, and then let's just get on the beers, basically, and let's celebrate it, because you have to make the most of these moments because they don't come around. Well, they do come around often for Norwich City. We're a unique case in that sense. But it's just been brilliant, hasn't it? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the weekend. What are your plans for promotion? The pubs are reopened. Are you planning on being at the pub on Saturday evening? I don't know. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Norwich City are pretty much promoted to the Premier League. We'll be playing our football in the Premier League next season, and that's a really fun thing to say. Thank you so much for 5 yards. You can check them out. Link is in the description, and you can subscribe to Talk Norwich City. I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.